Good morning. My name is Rachel Haas. I am the NESP Ecosystem Program Manager. I am overjoyed for everyone to be here to celebrate the first groundbreaking on the Illinois Waterway under the NESP Ecosystem Program. I am very excited to share, because I just learned about 20 minutes ago, the contractor did break ground yesterday. So we are in active construction, so the timing of today's event is amazing. I am the contractor. Our Prime Midwest Construction Company, which is a woman-owned small business, and their subcontractor, JF Brennan, are here today and will be joining us for the celebration. We have two more construction projects that will be joining this project on the Illinois Waterway this season as well. So we will have 3 construction contracts actively in construction this year. This project is unique in the aspect that it is a 700... I'm so sorry. I'm very nervous and very excited all at the same time. So the riprap on this project is sized specifically to maintain structural integrity given the extreme weather conditions on the Illinois Waterway. We know, as from the NESP program perspective, that this is an area that has been underserved and underutilized by other authorities, and we're looking forward to all the new opportunities the program is going to bring to this river system, including a workshop on the 22nd of April to 22nd of February to identify new projects. This is a known important migratory waterfowl resting and feeding habitat that is actively used for recreation by the Starved Rock State Park, and that is driving our construction schedule timeline. The goal is to actively start construction yesterday and complete before the next hunting season, which starts this fall, and we're looking forward to ribbon cutting this fall. So please join us again in the fall to celebrate construction completion. We will see immediate physical conditions improve once construction is completed. So this fall you should see the physical conditions improve, and we will see the biological response quickly after through monitoring. Sure, that's all that I had from a project-specific standpoint.
Thank you, Rachel. As I mentioned earlier, our U.S. Senators for the state of Illinois have been instrumental in securing federal funding for this project as part of the Navigation and Ecosystem Sustainability Program. Without their support, we would not be positioned today ready for construction. We are grateful for their dedication and appreciate their continued support as we work to provide navigation and ecosystem solutions across the upper Midwest. Please welcome Senator Durbin.
It's an honor to be here today. I want to acknowledge our colonels from the Army Corps of Engineers, as well as our Director of the Department of Natural Resources, Natalie Phelps-Finney, who will follow me and say a few words. I want to acknowledge as well the presence of State Representative Lance Yednock. Lance is over here on the staircase. He's getting prepared to make a speech, right? Always. You're in the right spots. Always. And I believe it's Renee Abraham who represents State Senator Rezin. Glad that you're here today. You know, in my line of work, you sometimes get involved in projects that are going to have a long-term impact. It's seldom that you live long enough to see them. You may start a piece of legislation, pass a bill, and wonder if it will ever do anything or ever be anything. Today is one of those days when an idea, which was working its way through Congress 17 years ago, becomes a reality here in Illinois. It's the Navigation Ecosystem Sustainability Project. The important word in there is ecosystem, because that really marked a departure from where we had been throughout the history of the United States. The Army Corps of Engineers has always done great work. We trust them with some of the most important projects. But they focused on building things that were important to us, but not on the ecosystem around those. In 2007, we wrote a bill and said, let's include the ecosystem, so that not only are we dealing with things like locks and dams, we're dealing with the river that they're placed on and the shoreline that abuts them. That was 2007. So it was an undertaking that somebody better answer the phone. It was an undertaking that was obvious. We looked at locks and dams and are a critical part of Midwestern economy, particularly for our agriculture sector. And they're a smart idea now that we're sensitive to things like greenhouse gas emissions. Because if we can move goods by barge as opposed to truck, there are fewer greenhouse gas emissions and problems for the environment. So the notion of upgrading and modernizing our locks and dams has been obvious for decades. We're starting to move, thank goodness, in the right way. But when it came to the ecosystem, 2007 was the first time we just flat out acknowledged that that is part of any project dealing with the navigation system of the United States. And why would we come here today to Starved Rock to talk about this? Because 40% of the migratory waterfowl in the United States comes through the upper Mississippi and the Illinois River. This is a major stopping off place for species of birds all over North America. I looked out there as I was sitting and just watching the birds, thinking they're here witnessing what we're doing today. These migratory waterbirds, waterfowl, and shorebirds are an important part of our ecology and our future. They bring together species of birds from all over the United States and all over the world. With the exception of sparrows and starlings and resident game birds, most birds migrate. They look for nesting sites, they look for feeding sites, and it's getting tougher on them because we're dealing with climate change and we're dealing with the development of land, which traditionally they relied on. They have programmed in their little minds, amazing little minds, the route that they have to fly every single year, back and forth. Thank goodness for Google. Reading a few things here, the record distance flown without resting was 8,400 miles by a little bird that flew from Alaska to Australia called a bar-tailed godwit. I wanted to throw that one at you. It didn't come into this territory, but there are migratory birds that do equally remarkable things that come along here. And this notion that we are going to, through NESP, start making certain that they have the right resting and feeding sites makes all the difference. Now, I mentioned about 40% of the North American waterbirds and other species coming through here. 25% of the North American fish species comes through this same watershed. This is a pretty important piece of real estate when it comes to the natural history and the resources of our area. So we decided in Washington that from now on we're going to talk about navigation, but we're always going to add ecosystem into it. Senator Duckworth joined me in finding some resources for the project that help with the project today. But we have 200 more sites just like it, mapped out and ready to go. We're doing our part, our generation is, to make sure that these waterfowl survive, and we must. The United Nations say that 25% of them are endangered of vanishing. We can't let that happen on our watch. We owe it to our kids, grandkids, and future generations to do the smart thing environmentally so that we can not only use these rivers for navigation purposes, but also use them for preserving the species that depend so much on them. I'm honored to be here today. Like I said, 17 years ago we passed the legislation, and I wondered if I'd ever see it. Well, it turns out I will, because I'm here today at Starved Rock, and I'm glad that Illinois is a leader in that area. We have certainly the opportunity, as I mentioned to you, with all the species that come through here, flying through, migrating. And we're lucky to have, as head of the Department of Natural Resources for our state, Natalie Phelps Finney. Natalie, your turn.